Nancy was a client of mine who I'd like to tell you about. She was in the top of her industry. Almost everybody in her community knew who she was. She was very well known. And she exuded this confidence. She had such a magnetic personality. When she walked into a room, she literally lit up the room. People wanted to go speak to her. People wanted to talk to her because she had this gift for just making you feel like you're a better person after you have spoken to her. No matter how old you were, when you grew up, you wanted to be just like Nancy. But behind closed doors, she is what we call, the scientific term, a hot mess. She had so much going on in her life that she felt like she couldn't manage it. A good day for her was dog paddling, but on most days she felt like she was drowning. And sometimes she would just sit there with her mug of coffee, staring at her desk, at her computer, at her notes. She had so much to do, and yet she had no idea of where to start. That was Nancy. She had no structure for her day. She believed that to-do lists were absolutely useless because she never got them done anyway, so what's the point of making them? She also did not want to be boxed in by any kind of parameters because she needed to be available for all of her clients. After all, she had to put out fires all day long. And that's Nancy. No structure whatsoever and completely stressed out. On the other end of the spectrum is a client of mine, Mark. And Mark worked for a nationally known insurance and investment firm. He had landed in the top 20 producers of his company every year for the last 5 years. Not top 20%, the top 20. He was excellent at what he did. But he also studied up on Kanban and Kaizen and continuous improvement, and he knew if his team could be even more efficient, they could land in that top 10 and stay there. When I completed my assessment of his team, I discovered how he was evaluating their efficiency. It was based on whether or not they had a 0 email inbox by the end of each day. And for him to know whether or not they were being efficient, he would pop in to their email inboxes throughout the day to see how many emails they'd gotten, how many flags were still in that Outlook inbox, and to see how many emails were still unread. Because if an email is bolded, doesn't that mean it has not been read yet? When I had Mark assess his time, he realized that he was losing approximately 1 hour per day obsessing with productivity and micromanaging his folks. But wait, there's more. When Mark would see all of these emails sitting there, he would want to know the status of those bids, those proposals, the underwriting. So what did he do? He emailed those team members. What's the status? And when he didn't hear back from them in 10 minutes, guess what he did next? He would call. What is the status? Then he'd get frustrated when they wouldn't answer him. So what he would do next is research. What is that silver bullet, that golden egg, that magical rule or quick part in Outlook email that was going to solve all of their inefficiency? Mark would sometimes lose up to 3 hours per day micromanaging. So on one end of the spectrum, we have Nancy with no structure. On the other end of the spectrum, we have Mark with too much structure and too much obsession with productivity.